Buenas noches. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my Periscope. I am so excited to be with you all today, and I am just getting back home from my trip to Virginia, so just in time for our Periscope tonight. So the topic for tonight, I want to talk about love. And specifically, I want to talk about love in relationships as it relates to ourselves, right? So one of the things that has come up, I love love too, Betty. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you everyone who is on. If you are just joining us for the first time, I'd love to give you a special welcome. So please let me know that you're new and your name. And also, thank you, Betty, for sharing with your followers. I do invite you all to invite your followers. I want to always get as many live viewers as possible. And also, just spread the word about what I'm doing here. So for folks who don't know me, my name is Dianese. I am the owner of Sexuality Power, a business focused on the empowerment of individuals through their sexuality. Hi, Luis. Welcome. So really working with individuals to tap into their sexuality and really live a life of purpose and meaning and self-expression. So that's what I do. And I really appreciate everyone who comes on every night. I know, Betty's one of my lifers, so thank you for always being on and open. So the topic for tonight, like I said, is love. And, we all are seeking love, right? I don't really know anyone who isn't interested in seeking love. Yet, a lot of the time, when we're looking for a partner, we can be unclear about what we want. We can even be unclear about the motivation in seeking that partner, right? So tonight, really, I want to focus on self-love, right? Because one of the things that I've come to learn and appreciate and admire about love is how important it is to have self-love, right? And really knowing that love in partnership, love in life begins with loving oneself. And that can take so many different forms, right? Like we can love ourselves in different ways, right? Taking care of ourselves is a form of self-love. Really getting to know ourselves, getting to know what our needs are. How do you cultivate self-love? Thank you for the question, Betty. For me, is really connecting with yourself. And that's different for everyone, right? So I can only speak to what works for me, right? But when I think of self-love, I think of like, what are my needs? Like what am I really needing from life, from myself? Sometimes we have a lot of negative mental talk, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that takes away from our self-love is the constant criticism and self-judgment that we might be going through, especially when we're seeking love, right? Sometimes you're trying to find a partner and the first thing that comes up is you're not good enough. Right? So if you're constantly talking to yourself and saying like, I'm not good enough, that's really not self-love. That's self-judgment, that's self-criticism, and really breaking yourself down rather than building yourself up. So to me, it's really important to focus on how are you talking to yourself? How are you expressing your love to yourself, right? The same way that, you might want to buy your partner flowers or chocolates or go out to dinner. Like, are you doing those things for yourself? Because if you're not doing them for yourself, like, how is it going to really work out with someone else, right? If we're not really giving love to ourselves, how are we really embracing and sharing love with others? And often, you know, thank you, Jorge, for joining and giving me hearts. Love, love, love the hearts. I love the shape of hearts, but I also love that it's an exchange of energy between you guys and me. So when you guys do give me hearts, I know you're vibing with what I'm saying. So I do appreciate that. Like, it's almost like positive reinforcement. So, you know, for me, one of the things that I've come to understand and appreciate about life is that when we're seeking love, most of the time we're looking for something outside of us that is already within us. We're just not tapped into that. And on some level, it really does, thank you, Louise, it does set us up for disappointment or failure even in some relationships, because we can't receive that which we don't give ourselves already. And we can't give that which we don't have already, right? So when we're seeking someone to make us feel comfortable, if you're uncomfortable in your own skin, like, how are you going to feel comfortable with someone else, right? If you want someone to care for you, right, to treat you well, and you're treating yourself like shit, you know, it's almost like your partner is a reflection of the things that you need or are missing within yourself, that you're not giving yourself, right? So that's one of the biggest tips I can give you all is, you know, if you're in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, really looking within yourself, like, what are my needs, right? And from those needs, seeking that out within yourself, right? So if your need is for compassion, right? If you want someone who's caring, like, how can you give that to yourself? How can you be compassionate towards your own feelings, towards your own thoughts? You know, really looking at how you're relating to yourself. Because often we don't even realize how negative the thoughts can be and how critical we are on ourselves. Like, we tend to be much more compassionate and understanding towards other people than towards ourselves. Like, we want to share love, yet we often forget that self-care and love, right? Like, how many of us are appreciating our everyday, right? Our body and our mind and our heart, and like how giving we are. Those things are, you know, if that's what you want from a partner, begin with yourself. And to answer your question, Louise, I am from Puerto Rico and I'm currently living in New Jersey. Where are you from? Love to get to know you all. Like I've said before, this is a communal space. I'm trying to build a sense of community so that different people from different places around the world, Brazil in the house, awesome. You know, so I love that there's people from Brazil and people from Russia coming onto my scope. So I definitely want to build a worldwide community. So thank you for being on. So really, just to summarize what I just said, you know, self-love begins with really looking internally, seeing like where are your own needs, right? Like, what are your needs? Where are you on that level, that scale of like meeting your needs? If you're not really expressing self-love and appreciation and care towards yourself, and if your thoughts are constantly negative and punitive towards yourself, really, you're not going to find that from someone else. If anything, you're going to attract someone into your life that mimics what you're currently doing towards yourself. So sometimes it's like, oh, like I'm looking for someone who's like super honest, but if you're not being honest with yourself, you might attract someone who's a liar and like deceiving, right? So those are things, like things are always a reflection of where we're at. So really being mindful of that and checking in with yourself, like what are your thoughts, what are your feelings, what are your needs, and starting to meet those for yourself, because we all have the capacity and the ability to meet our own needs, right? Often we seek that from others, and that really just sets us up for some disappointment. So until tomorrow night, I hope you all gain something from that talk. I wish you a passionate evening. Ciao.